Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 59th episode of the PB Political Podcast. I'm Eshan Pokral.
I'm Cameron Cummings.
And I'm Michael Boddicker.
And we have a lot to talk about today. We're going to start with just going back over the second GOP debate last Wednesday. We're going to follow that up with the whole saga around Senator Feinstein, her death, may she rest in peace, and the subsequent appointments of everything. And finally, we have a very fun topic in the sense that Kevin McCarthy was just voted out as Speaker of the House of Representatives, the first person in American history to be voted out of the office. We're going to get our own reactions, what to expect moving forward, and who we think the next speaker might be. So we're going to get all into all of that.
Before we go into anything, can we just talk about how Eshan said, let's have a fun topic, and be like, yeah, Kevin McCarthy got ousted. This is going to be real fun to talk about.
It's historic and it's fun. I think we all are having a little bit of fun today. It is Pack Watch, after all, isn't it?
Pack
Watch. So here we go. Let's get to the debate. First, we're not going to spend a long time on the debate because it was terrible. What do y'all think about the debate? I did not like it. I think the first 30 minutes were the worst TV I've seen in a long time. And yeah, what do y'all think?
I'm going to start this with just something really short. We said this in the last podcast. I think everyone said it. They're all racing for second place. And they're losing the race. I don't know how you lose second place. Normally, you lose first, come in second. You're losing the race for second place. We said that Ron DeSantis had the most to gain from doing good, fell flat on his face again. He gave that creepy smile again. He felt robotic. He felt like uncomfortable being there. Nikki Haley, I think everyone else pretty much gunned at Ramaswamy again. I can't say if that was the best move. I think you probably should have built up why you should have been it than slamming the other person, even though I think they all know he's clearly leading them. And like Eshan said, the first 30 minutes was most definitely the most rough. I remember texting Eshan, it sounds like a bunch of kids arguing about who's the best Power Ranger on the playground. Everyone's yelling over each other. And then Ramaswamy's putting his finger up like he's ready to speak, raising his hand in class. It wasn't a good display of the future of the Republican Party, and especially the people that they put up to run for presidency.
Yeah, Boddicker.
Yeah. I guess in summary, the winners, I'd say Donald Trump and Joe Biden probably. The losers, anyone that had to watch. Definitely anyone that had to watch that lost a lot of their time in their life. Tim Scott did okay. I thought he did pretty well, especially when he was talking about racial inequality. He had a pretty good answer. And then him and Nikki Haley went after each other, which was really interesting. Biggest loser, though, was probably Doug Burgum. Poor guy, didn't really do anything. He's just kind of there. Maybe that's a strength, but on a debate stage, probably a weakness.
Yeah, I, again, did not like it. That being said, I think, the problem was, there was so much, there was no control over the debate. Fox, the debate should be returned to the League of Women Voters to organize, because these debates sanctioned by the RNC are horrible. They don't get candidates to come to the stage. Trump and Biden should be debating in every debate. There's not even going to be a Democratic debate. But Trump should be at every one of these debates. It's ridiculous. And the moderators did not have any control of this debate. It was weird being in the library. For the first part of it, when it was so bright outside, you could see the light coming through behind them at the library, the presidential library. It was weird. Nothing was really, it just felt off. And yeah, I think, I would say President Trump probably won too. I think if you have to pick a candidate that won, I really don't know. I think I would say Chris Christie. I think he had the most memorable line, even if it was cringy. It was still memorable, the Donald Duck thing. I think that was his best moment. I think everybody else had issues with their performance. Yeah, man. I don't know. I couldn't watch the whole thing. I stopped watching it about 75% of the way through. But yeah, do you guys think that, and we'll move on after this, do you guys think that anybody comes out better. I know that Chris Christie and Vivek Ramaswamy actually wanted to have a little like side debate, and they've been like praising each other but also criticizing. They've been like respectful to each other but also criticizing each other's policies and stuff. And the RNC officially supposedly blocked it according to the Christie campaign. The RNC actually did not let them do that, which I feel like is completely wrong. It's kind of dumb, frankly, because of these rules the RNC has for debates. You have to only participate in the RNC debates. You can't participate in unsanctioned debates. It's dumb. It's stupid. And it's actually very undemocratic. But besides that, do y'all think anybody actually is going to see a bump in their numbers moving forward?
I wouldn't say a bump, but I have to agree with Boddicker with Tim Scott. He had several good points. I think he stood out more in the first debate. I would say the first debate, he was more like background noise to anything, like he'd like chirp in. But I feel like he took more, I'm not going to say center stage, but more of a stage. And he had more of a presence this time than he did in the first debate. And Chris Christie really did have the funny Donald Duck line. I wouldn't say it's going to let him see a bump, but he probably has gotten a lot more impressions on social media. I'll give him that. Everywhere I've seen like the Donald Duck meme and all that stuff. Social media impressions, sure. Is that turning to voters? No, because most people are laughing at or with him, and that's not really going to translate to how you see someone eye to eye politically.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know. Blocker, what do you think? Sorry.
I don't really think anybody had anything that's crazy. I don't think there's any significant movement. I guess I would say Tim Scott and Vivek actually had the biggest shifts in their strategy between the two debates. Tim Scott had to come out punching, and he did in some ways. And then Vivek kind of returned to the unifier approach. He had that pretty much until the first debate. First debate happened, and he kind of strayed from that. I think he's realized now that that's the best for him, is probably the unifier approach instead of the firebrand. And we'll see what that does to his poll numbers. And then maybe even additional to the loser, Ronald Reagan, in terms of this is his stomping grounds. And Reagan, I think that he wasn't really mentioned very much, even though it was his home court. So I think that was, the city on a hill that Tim Scott talked about. Partially Reagan. It was certainly as a revival under Reagan, but that's been a principle since John Winthrop in like the early mid 1600s. So that's nothing new. And then maybe a moment from DeSantis about deterrence. I can't really think of any other moments where that kind of old style, Asa Hutchinson style republicanism, I would call it. I did not have many moments on the stage.
Yeah, I will say one thing. I think Nikki Haley also came off worse. She needed to have a really good debate because while I don't personally subscribe to this, people really liked her first debate, mainly because she was the loudest and most memorable. She had the most memorable line coming out of that debate. But you could tell, I feel like every single time she spoke on Wednesday, it was just her trying to recreate like a memorable line. Literally every single statement she made had that same like kind of ring to it. And just seemed kind of inauthentic. I watched this with my roommates, actually, and they're not really politically, they don't really get involved for the better, frankly. And they were just, like, ripping into Nikki Haley. Like, that line she had about hospitals, they're all, like, medicine-related, interested people. So they're all like, what is she talking about? This makes no sense. She's just saying that she's coming off phony. That was something I noticed. I wonder, we don't have the ability to do a focus group. I wonder what polling coming out will say regarding the debate. I think it'll be interesting. I think the flash polling was that Ramaswamy and DeSantis had the best debates. Just off just the numbers that we saw coming out of the debate, but we'll see. Let's move on because this debate was terrible. We're going to move on to Senator Dianne Feinstein passing away, I believe Friday morning. Friday morning.
Friday morning. Woke up to the news and it was devastating.
I don't understand how she voted on Thursday night, so I don't know what. We don't actually have details, but we wish the family well and everything. But this created a whole little side show in Washington because Gavin Newsom was now able to pick his second senator in 2 years? In 2 years. Obviously, he nominated Alex Padilla when Kamala Harris became the vice president, and now he has appointed LaFonza Butler to fill Dianne Feinstein's seat. Who wants to, Boddick, you want to take us through who LaFonza Butler is, essentially?
Sure. So she's done a variety of work over the years. She's extremely pro-union, and then she was leading Emily's List, which I believe Emily's List, they do a lot of work in terms of, I think abortion is a big one, women's in politics. They bragged that they've raised over $600 million to elect pro-choice Democratic female candidates. So that's kind of who they are. I believe they're also big with Elizabeth Warren and her camp as well. So definitely, she's definitely a progressive. A shocker. I don't think she was on any of our bingo cards for Senate in California. I've honestly never heard of her until now, personally. But she's young. She's 44, I believe. So she could, her willing and constituents willing, she could serve 40 years in the Senate if she wanted to. But there's certainly a lot of pros and cons. She's the first black lesbian senator, and she's, I believe, the first lesbian senator from California as well. So she's definitely a trailblazer, kind of following the steps of another trailblazer in terms of Dianne Feinstein, the longest serving female senator in U.S. history. So certainly an interesting path that's being forged in California, and Gavin Newsom is directly having his hand in it by appointing both Alex Padilla and LaFonza Butler. So in the sense, Gavin Newsom's mark on California politics could be left for the next 50 years, depending on the way things go. So really interesting to see that going on.
Yeah, one thing I will say about her union record, it's weird because she was like the head of the SEIU, Service Employees Industrial Union, I believe it's called, in California. But then she ended up lobbying for Airbnb and Uber, so it's kind of a mixed bag there. Overall, I think, I think her being appointed is interesting. I think Newsom still constrained himself by publicly saying he's going to pick a black woman to appoint this seat, while Barbara Lee is running for this seat right now. And frankly, before LaFonza Butler or Senator Butler now got appointed, probably would have won that primary and that seat. And Barbara Lee, if you guys don't know, she's a much more progressive candidate. I think everybody she is older, she's 77, but I think she's kind of the pick of like the left, the progressive wing of the Democratic Party, and it would have been a huge get for them to have a sitting senator from California. That being said, it's going to be tougher now with the incumbency advantage because Senator Butler is allowed to run for re-election. There's stipulations sometimes, but this time they are. Governor Newsom is allowing the appointee to run for the Senate seat. So, yeah, we'll see. Cameron, you have any thoughts on the new senator?
I have thoughts. So, first one, I know going back to Dianne Feinstein, we're just going to jump back a little bit. She voted Thursday, but I don't think, she was there voting, physically, but she wasn't there, right? We can all see she has not been cognitively there for quite a while. So I think it was her team and her constituents voted on her behalf. So yeah, was she there present that Thursday? Yes. What was her health condition? How was she physically? I would probably say probably not the best, as she passed away not too long after that. I don't have any problems with who California's governors appointed to Dianne Feinstein's spot. Like I said, I do think it is. It always confines yourself if you publicly announce that you're going to, that's your picking. If you mentally are thinking I want to pick a black woman from the state of California, that's a great thing. I'm all for that. But publicly stating it does kind of hinder, people. Who people want to see. But just coming out and saying it, not a problem at all. As well with her, like I said, I don't see an issue. who she's running against, who she will be running against. She said she's 77. And Boddicker said, she could stay in politics for, 40 more years. Me personally, let's hope not. Let's move away from career politicians. When I mean career, I mean like dying in office should not be the norm. You should not be, in the last years of your life, making changes that will be overturned by the Supreme Court of the United States 20, 25, 30, 40, 60 years later. By the time you've decayed to skin and bones in the ground. And we still have to deal with those issues. So, even her being 77, and I'm blanking on both of their names right now. Who got appointed to California? Just remind me of her name.
LaFonza Butler, yeah.
Senator Butler, 44. Perfect age. That's what we're talking about. That's an age I think I'm much more comfortable seeing. Let's make that the new old in Congress. Let's make 50, let's make that old. 77. That you're well past the retirement age is 65. So this is, I guess that was a side tangent, purely off like the one phrase Boddicker made, as well as side rant about Dianne Feinstein and dying in office as in general. I think everyone's seen that. I'm definitely not in the minority saying this.
Yeah.
It's not like some crazy, outlandish thing to say that, and being the longest serving senator is a good thing. But when you look at it, it could also not be like the most positive thing. In most other countries, you're forced to retire 67. FBI agents, something I'm kind of looking at doing. You have to retire, and I want to say it's either 57 or 59. I'm pretty sure it's 57. If you want to go any longer, you have to plead the case to the Senate of I'm working on this case. I've been working on this case for 5 years. I need to stay on it at least for 2 more years. Let me see it through. That's it. I think there needs to be some changes, nothing radical, to how politicians are allowed to stay in office for so long.
Yeah,
100% agree, Cam. Just mentioning her age is just.
Yes, no, I'm not saying that.
In terms of the way I think Gavin Newsom would think about it, in terms of the way that the system works at the moment, in terms of the seniority, I think that in the way that for us with Richard Shelby, the way Richard Shelby worked for us in Alabama in terms of being in the Senate just for a super long time, I think that California would probably see the same thing down the line for LaFonza Butler. Obviously, her health willing, constituents willing, and barring obviously any action on term limits or any sort of mandatory retirement age for members of Congress, stuff like that. But you never know. I don't really see us changing the status quo anytime soon. So it would not shock me if she served until she's 85, personally.
And I don't think seeing a law being passed, obviously the people in there 85, they're not going to want to stop being 85 in there.
Yeah.
I don't see that being the new wave, but I do see a lot of buzz around. Let's just not go and support them.
For sure.
There are far more people that are millennials and Gen Zs that are boomers. That's just how cycles work. Far more currently active and can go to the polls and do all this. And I think they're starting to see a turn of you're just not going to get a vote if you're pulling what? I'm blanking on every name right now. He just goes blank every time he speaks.
Oh, Mitch McConnell?
Mitch McConnell, yeah.
If you're pulling
McConnell moment.
Just staring at a fly, we don't want you in office.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be the new trend of what people want to see.
Yeah.
I am really doing bad with names today.
Let's pivot to the most fun, in my opinion, just because of how crazy everything is. Representative Kevin McCarthy of California, the Speaker of the House, has been ousted from the Speaker's chair in it's never been done before. A motion to vacate was filed by Congressman Matt Gaetz of Florida's first, actually the Pensacola area, so almost Alabama.
Thankfully not.
Yeah, he almost ran. People were trying to get him to run for Senate in Alabama a while ago, but that's not the point. Matt Gaetz files a motion to vacate the chair, which could be done by one member of Congress, thanks to the concessions they received, they being the Freedom Caucus, the more socially conservative, harder right, you could say, members of Congress, about 21, 22 members, I think, right, Boddicker? 22.
Yeah, around there.
Yeah.
20, 25.
Yeah. So they filed a motion to vacate after the spending debacle where the government was about to shut down, but then they decided to get a deal together, which also wasn't great, which the Freedom Caucus didn't like, so now we're here. Motion to vacate hits the floor today, and in a not too surprising result, but still historic result, 10 Republicans joined Democrats in voting to remove Kevin McCarthy from the speakership. Boddicker, you want to go through the names of the Republicans involved in voting yes?
Yeah. I'm sorry. I believe it was just 8.
It was 8? Oh, it was 8. Okay, that was 10. Okay.
So we got Andy Biggs, not surprising. Ken Buck, one of the more conservative members of Congress, I believe, also Freedom Caucus. Tim Burchett from Tennessee, our neighboring state, voted yes. Eli Crane from Arizona. Matt Gaetz, obviously, he brought the motion up. Bob Good from Virginia. I believe he ran for Senate, maybe in 2012. But you have to check me on that. But he's now a representative from Virginia. Nancy Mace, who I believe Nancy Mace is...
we'll talk about that one. That was interesting, yeah.
That's an interesting one. We'll definitely get a little bit more into that. And then Matt Rosendale from Montana.
Yeah, so...
Those are 8 Republicans who voted with Democrats.
Yeah, I mean, off the base is like... First thing, Lauren Boebert voted no for now, so that could be one that could flip if it comes to it. The biggest surprise, obviously, Ken Buck, Eli Crane, Matt Gaetz, Bob Good, Gosar. Gosar voted no. Gosar voted no, my bad. Mace, and Rosendale and Burchett are all Freedom Caucus members. Nancy Mace from South Carolina's first, I believe. She's definitely a moderate. She's in the Problem Solvers Caucus, I believe. She's been on the other side of McCarthy throughout the whole process here, the last couple of days, so it's been surprising to watch. Wesley Hunt also, who did not vote yes on this, but he's been one to watch in this Republican from Texas, from the Dallas area, I believe. So there's been a lot of intrigue, but yeah, those 8 Republicans vote against McCarthy. Boddicker, you're by proximity the closest to the Hill right now. What are you thinking?
So obviously, for people to understand how this works, they can't really get anything done until they have a speaker. So this is scratch the entire legislative schedule probably for this week. I believe they're supposed to vote on appropriations for the legislative branch this week, and then also for I don't have it with me at the moment, but there supposed to be, I think, 2 or 3 appropriations bills of the 12 they have to pass that were going to be up for votes this week. I assume those will be gone now because they're going to have to spend as much time as they have to figuring out who the heck is going to be speaker. Gaetz had some names he threw out, and I'll give those out right now. Steve Scalise is one. Steve Scalise is suffering with cancer at the moment. I hope his health is okay. And he also named Majority Whip Tom Emmer, Jody Arrington, Kevin Hearn, former Representative Lee Zeldin was one that he threw out. I don't really know. I don't think Scalise would take it, and I don't think Zeldin would be anywhere near. I don't think that the members are actually willing to vote for a speaker that's not part of the House. I just think that's even though they don't have to be, I don't think that that's something they would break. So I guess that's down to pretty much Tom Emmer, Jody Arrington, and Kevin Hearn. Emmer's from Minnesota, Arrington's from Texas, and Hearn's from Oklahoma. TBD, maybe Emmer. I could see Tom Emmer doing it. But wouldn't it be just kind of crazy if in like 3 days you're just like, McCarthy's back in, guess what?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think McCarthy will have a shot at getting back in, mainly because those 8 Republicans that voted no, I don't think there's anything they can get to be convinced that McCarthy's the man to uphold everything that Matt Gaetz has said. And whether you like Matt Gaetz or dislike Matt Gaetz, he's pretty steadfast when he says something. He definitely believes what he's saying, I feel like, or he at least acts like he believes what he's saying and acts on it.
He will at least double down on it.
He will double down on it, and I think every Republican that voted against McCarthy especially people like Nancy Mace, who is not a Freedom Caucus member, who has maybe legitimate concerns on the feasibility of McCarthy as Speaker for the next year and a half. I think, I mean, I've heard names from staffers. I mean, I've heard Mike Rogers, Alabama 3rd District. He's the chair of the House Armed Services Committee. I don't think he's going to give that up to be Speaker of the House, but that's a name I've heard floated. I also heard Lee Zeldin from somebody that I think, honestly, Justin Amash, former congressman from Michigan, he knows the rules of the House inside and out. He's been when the January. He was former Libertarian member of Congress. He was switched from Republican to Libertarian. He's always been. Oh my God! Breaking news: Jake Sherman Punch Bowl news. Kevin McCarthy will not run for Speaker again. He's about to make the announcement in a closed GOP meeting. Jake Sherman Punch Bowl news. So that changes everything. Who's going to run for Speaker? Who do we have? Floor's open now. Tom Emmer, Scalise. What are we doing? What do y'all think?
Let's just switch it up. Matt Gaetz.
I would be willing to bet Prize Picks gambling money that I don't think Matt Gaetz, if you set the line for Matt Gaetz votes, I don't think Matt Gaetz gets over
20.
35.
I don't think Matt Gaetz.
I'll give him, because the Freedom Caucus, right? I give him the Freedom Caucus and 10.
I don't think Matt Gaetz would vote for Matt Gaetz for Speaker of the House. Oh, and just to mention, right now the Speaker pro tem, so who's taking control of the chamber, is Patrick McHenry, who is famous for always wearing a bow tie on the floor and looking like Orville Redenbacher when he was 40. And somehow,
he looks suave.
Despite having really white hair, he's 47. It's interesting, but he is McCarthy's number 2 in the list. Obviously, the Speaker provides a list for the Speaker pro tem. He was McCarthy's pick to lead the chamber, and I would not be surprised if he's running for the nomination moving forward. But with that being said, McCarthy's not running. Thanks to Punch Bowl News for just breaking that. I was refreshing Twitter and I saw it, so timely from there. But Democrats, they said that this isn't their fight. They basically stayed out of it, and by doing so, they voted no, or they voted yes to remove. And I don't think there's any candidate. Do you guys think of a candidate that would have any chance at uniting Democrats and Republicans here? That's in the House of Representatives as we speak.
No, neither party.
Yeah, I agree.
It's not specifically a Democrat thing or a Republican thing. That's just that's a state of America kind of thing. I'm gonna go with the big fat no. I do think Patrick McHenry could be an interesting speaker if he chose to run for it. He seems like a nice guy. I don't know.
People like McCarthy, too. Matt Gaetz has been the first one to say this is not personal. I don't know if I believe that, but they seem to be friends outside of this. Maybe not anymore.
I don't know how much I believe that when he says it's not personal. I mean, I kind of disagree with that. Also, Kevin McCarthy, if you look at how much you trust RCP or not, McCarthy has a negative 10.7 favorability rating on RCP. He's at 33.8 favorable and 44.5 unfavorable. And granted that there's a ton of undecided there, but I can't imagine that McHenry would be more unpopular than that. Hakeem Jeffries, good for him. He's actually only -2 right now, but there's only 64% of the data available there, so there's still 36% of people that, and I assume that because no one approves of Congress at the moment, that he's probably doomed to have the same fate as Chuck Schumer. Mitch McConnell's at negative 40.7 approval.
Well, the thing,
favorability.
But what can the Speaker of the House even do to be popular? I mean, honestly, what can you do if you're the Speaker to be popular? Because you can't. First thing, when you're the Speaker, you're already only really friendly with half the conference in the half the House, if half the House, clearly less than half the House from McCarthy's case, and. Yes, so you also have to make sure if you can do as much as you want, but it won't matter if the Senate doesn't approve it. Senate's run by Democrats this time around, so Republicans really can't do anything they want to. Then they have President Biden, who's also a Democrat. So what can it's obviously, I feel like any Speaker of the House is just gonna automatically become unpopular unless they stay out of the limelight. And I think McCarthy's obviously done a worse job of it with the government shutdown and everything. That's fair, but I just don't know what.
Do you blame McCarthy for that, though? I don't really know if... I
don't, but, like, he's going to get the blame. He'll get the blame, is the problem.
Oh, he will? I don't, like...
I don't know.
I feel bad for him because, like, in a certain sense, like, in a way, like, right, the more he works with Democrats, the more he probably loses his own caucus. Mm-hmm. And that's obviously not going to be good for him in terms of the way that conservative people will view him. But if he works too much with his own caucus in terms of the Freedom Caucus and all that other stuff, it makes it difficult because the Republicans don't control the Senate and they don't have the president. So the more that he works with the ultra-conservatives in the Freedom Caucus, then he's basically never going to get anything they want passed. So he either loses his own caucus by working with the other side too much, or he loses everything. It's nothing. So I just and because Matt Gaetz just does not like Kevin McCarthy, and McCarthy had to make that deal with him in order to be speaker. I mean, it's the whole reason we're here in the first place is because Kevin McCarthy had to make that deal. I mean, like, it literally took 15 votes and Mike Rogers, like, almost choking out Matt Gaetz to, like, get this even in motion for the Republicans to start legislating. Because if we think back, like, we're already 2 or 3 weeks delayed because of how long it took them to get a speaker. And now we're just back at square one again after 9 months. So we're like, it's kind of a, where do we go from here? Anybody got any ideas? And I would not want to be, actually, I would and I would not want to be a fly on the wall at the closed doors Republican meeting just to see, like, I would be terrified to see how angry some of those members are, because I know some of them are so mad. But I'd also want to see, like, what is the plan here, guys? What are we doing? Because at some point we got to start, like, we've already passed a continuing resolution. We all know how bad those are for the country and the budget and all sorts of other things. So, like, we kind of got to get things going, and it's just sputtering right now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what they're gonna do. I don't know who they're gonna. I mean, McHenry is literally just another McCarthy. He's a regen, frankly, just like politically and how he'd operate the House chamber. I don't think there's any doubting that. I mean, he's the first name on McCarthy's list to be the pro tem. Yeah. So I don't think he would get as much. I don't think he would be as he wouldn't be well received. I mean, like, I don't think there's any reason for the holdouts to vote for him when they wouldn't vote for McCarthy. I don't know who it would be though. I'm trying to think, but Tom Emmer seems like my most likely, just because he has the respect of the whole caucus, majority whip. Again, Mike Rogers.
Donald Trump, Speaker of the House.
Donald Trump, Speaker of the House. Someone voted for President. Someone voted for President Trump in January. A couple of ballots. I forgot who it was, but
can you imagine?
I think it was.
Oh my God!
I think it was Marjorie Taylor Greene who voted for President Trump a couple of times in January.
Are you shocked?
What?
Are you shocked?
No, but I'm just saying that it's a real. It is a possibility. Not saying that it'll happen. It'll never pass, but it is a legitimate possibility. Also, watching Trump do parliamentary procedure would be absolutely amazing. Just frankly, that'd be amazing.
I would pay money to hear him be like, "Order in the chamber," like not even like my Trump impressions, but just like some of the Robert's rules, like
is the gentleman from Alabama recognized? Trump's not gonna say that.
The way he's gonna hammer the gavel, the Trump gavel memes are gonna be so epic.
I don't think it's gonna happen, but it can. That's the beauty of the House. I still like Justin Amash. It's not going to happen, obviously. But, I mean, Thomas Massey, he's similar to Justin Amash, libertarian. He knows the rules of the House. Very steadfast on doing what is, open, something that Amash always criticizes. All these speakers, the last couple speakers, they don't open the floor for amendments. A lot of it's, they don't give you time to read bills rather than... they don't have the vote, the time threshold on reading bills, analyzing bills. So a lot of it's very undemocratic in his view.
That's what Matt Gaetz was bringing about.
Yeah,
some of his complaints, some of the other ones I didn't quite buy as much, but he actually does have some valid points that I actually think would appeal to a lot of that I've actually have cross-party appeal. But a lot of the times, and we all know this through studying history and stuff, that sometimes, like, you can have a really good message, but when you're delivering it through a messenger that just no one likes, you're not really going to get taken seriously. And we've had people who have horrible messages, but the way that they portray it makes that message meaningful, and it makes where people pay attention. So Matt Gaetz actually makes not horrible points on some things, not on everything, but on some things. But because he is who he is and the way he acts, the way he does, no one respects him for it.
Now, I wonder if Matt Gaetz. It's about following it up now. So will Matt Gaetz go with somebody like a Justin Amash, or even like a problem solvers Republican, or somebody like a Tony Gonzalez type, somebody like that? I don't think he will, but we'll see.
Well, just think about it like this: he has like Matt Gaetz and that wing of they have the most political power and most political swing of basically any faction of any party in my memory. I don't know if you guys have
more than the Tea Party
in terms of just pure political power. With one vote to motion to vacate, I mean, anytime you do something, done. You're done.
Yeah, let's talk about Matt Gaetz for a little bit. If y'all haven't heard enough about him yet, but I mean, I never thought he'd actually bring the motion forward, just because like how absurd it is. But I should have realized that Matt Gaetz is probably the most absurd person in Congress, for better or worse. I mean, I don't know. What do you think his end game is here? Because there's been calls from prominent members in the Republican conference to even expel him from the conference. Do what I believe Marjorie Taylor Greene was the one that had no committees last year. Was that right? She was on no committees. So like, if you can't get on committees, you're not getting anything done as a congressman. And that's, I mean, I don't know. What do you think? Again, just like, what do y'all think about, like, what do you think his end game is here? Because, I mean, he's not going to be the next speaker. There's no way he doesn't know that. There's no shot that Matt Gaetz is the next speaker of the House. But what do you think he's gunning for here?
Well, I wouldn't say no shot, purely because we said there was no, I said at least, there was no shot he was going to call the vote. And an hour ago, I got the message saying Kevin McCarthy is no longer, got ousted. So, I mean, I wouldn't say there's no chance. Right, that could be the underlying. He's been Birdman hand rubbing this whole time. That's his like end all be all goal. Stroking a cat like in a villain chair. I don't know what his end goal could be other than that. I mean, it's not like you can, or I guess it's going to bring everything to a standstill. Which, I mean, that's what they wanted in the first place. It's either you fly by our demands or things go to a standstill. If they listen to the demands, things are going to go back to a standstill. So I think it's like, one way or the other, they were going to get their way, and I think that's their other way of doing that.
Well, think about I'm actually interested in kind of the political theory of this. Like, think about what happens next time Democrats have power. Like, I think if I was a member of the Progressive Caucus, I would use the heck out of this. The next time Democrats have power, if you're looking at, like Representative Jayapal or Representative Omar or Ocasio-Cortez, AOC, like, if you're not instituting this, like, what are you doing? I mean, it's basically a surefire way to,
No, I agree. I agree.
The thing that will be most, I think, the biggest difference from this era of the House that I think we're going to talk about in history one day that will be in textbooks is the diminished role of the Speaker of the House after January 2023. Unless this rule's changed. I mean, obviously, if it doesn't stay in for the next Congress, depending on the way majorities work out, I mean, and we all know that stuff, but it's almost like, this is not destroying the power of the Speaker, but it really is like a check on power of the Speaker unlike anything I've ever seen.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Justin Amash has just tweeted, "So passes Denethor, son of Ecthelion," which is a nice little Lord of the Rings reference for anybody that gets that. Regarding
Based.
That is based regarding Speaker McCarthy's ousting. I mean, yeah, I don't even know. Like, I don't know what Matt Gaetz wants to do. He won't be Speaker. I don't think so. I don't think there's anybody.
How dare you?
There's not enough Republicans. My bad, but there's not enough Republicans that will. Because if you gotta think about it, like, McCarthy's never gonna vote yes on a Gaetz speakership.
Can you imagine?
McHenry.
Yes vote on a Gaetz.
Nope.
That was like that's meme fodder.
There's no shot Republicans vote. I mean, like, and yeah, I agree. The progressives need to do more. I don't know why they're scared, or they just kind of bow to the establishment wing of the party when they really don't need to. If you're looking at, I mean, the Progressive Caucus is probably bigger than the Freedom Caucus. I don't know why they don't utilize their power. I mean, you have a lot of members. You have AOC, you have Ilhan Omar, you have Watson Coleman, you have Summer Lee, you have
Steve Cohen, I believe, also in the Progressive Caucus.
Steve Cohen, Jayapal, Khanna. You have a lot of people in this caucus that just don't utilize that power the same way that Republicans on their side, their non-establishment wing are. And I think I honestly have to commend Republicans for the Freedom Caucus for how steadfast they are in doing this. Of course, they might, really not or provide like issues for a lot of the country, but hey, at least they're utilizing their power, and this is a check, I believe, on the Speaker of the House's power. I mean, Speaker of the House is third in line to the presidency. So, God forbid something happens to Vice President Harris and then President Biden. Patrick McHenry, I guess technically right now would be the third in line. I don't know if that counts as pro tem.
Can I mention, Patrick McHenry is the most sick, patriotic name ever.
Okay, it is a...
McHenry, dude, I want to send that guy abroad. Where is he in the Republican primary? Patrick McHenry, that is the most American... Dude, I feel red, white, and blue flowing through my veins when I see Patrick McHenry. Dude, I'm telling you. Like, his name is single-handedly restoring my faith in this country. I mean, President McHenry, I'll send you to the G8. I'll send you to the UN. Do whatever you want. But I guarantee that man bleeds red, white, and blue.
Yeah, Patrick, it's a great name. It's an amazing name. Honestly. Like,
it's like a West Wing name, dude. Like, president, in the show, be like, President Patrick McHenry. Like,
yeah. Yeah.
Shout out Patrick McHenry. If you ever need workers, I'm there. I'm red, white, and blue.
That's crazy. Let me go through real quick. I'm trying to see if there's a list of who voted and who didn't on HR 757. That is the vote to expel McCarthy from speakership. I just bring that up because, and this will be the last thing we talk about before we leave, because I have a lot here to go. So, I'm trying to find it. I do not see it, but there was the resolution today to expel McCarthy, mainly because just like there are votes. I mean, there are people that... I'm trying to find it. There are members, so 7 non-voting members today. I believe the non-voting members were like Nancy Pelosi was one because she was busy with a funeral for Senator Feinstein in California. Cori Bush was another one, Democrat from Missouri, that a lot of people I saw were upset about on Twitter. I don't really know why. I think she had a medical procedure, though, so we wish the best. Carter of Texas, Republican. Gooden of Texas, Republican. Anna Paulina Luna, another Freedom Caucus member who was not there today. That's another vote for a non-establishment member. Nancy Pelosi, obviously. Mary Peltola, Democrat from Alaska, whose husband sadly passed away about a week or two ago, so we wish the best for her and her family. And Sykes from Ohio, Amelia Sykes. I think she's also in the progressive.
So you're basically naming what, like probably 7 more votes, 7 more yes votes, and 1 more no vote. I assume Carter from Texas probably votes for McCarthy.
I believe Carter and Gooden would probably vote for McCarthy. Right?
Carter and Gooden. So what is it? 6? How many didn't vote? 7.
So yeah, I mean, like Cori Bush is a no.
So 220, basically 221 to.
Yeah, I mean. Sykes, Peltola, Pelosi, Luna, and Bush are all hard no's, I would assume. I don't know about Gooden of Texas, but I believe Carter is would be a yes. But yeah. So who knows what's going to happen, how this shakes up. Because, I mean, I wouldn't expect Peltola back for a while, obviously. And I don't know where Luna was at. But I'm sure Luna will be rushed back into D.C. if possible, if it's going to be a Freedom Caucus takeover. But we'll see. Yeah, this is going to be fascinating. Any last thoughts from y'all before we wrap this up about chaos?
No more thoughts from me. No more rants.
No more rants. All right. Yeah, we have... This was a lot to talk about, but I think it was a pretty fun episode. Pack
the
watch.
Episode where I said it's political theory time and theoried all over the place.
Yeah, you did theory all over the place. Pack watch 2023. You know,
political theory.
PACWASH 2023, House Republicans, Jake Sherman, will hold a candidate forum next Tuesday and election for Speaker next Wednesday.
A week?
A week. So we will not have a speaker until Wednesday. I don't even know.
I'm just going to be doing nothing the next week, I guess.
I guess not, yeah.
Those phones are going to be so much fun. Gosh, I can't wait.
And let's not talk about how there's a government shutdown looming in about 40 days from now. So there's going to be a...
43 days.
Yeah, I got... My opinions are my own. They are all my own.
Boddiker's opinions are his own.
They're all my own.
Boddiker's opinions are his own. So it's going to be odd. But...
Yeah.
We're going to see what happens. I mean, we'll be back next week to hopefully we should record this Tuesday next week so we can, like today, so we can figure out who's going to be in the candidate forum. And then we'll do a little speaker thing after that. But, yeah, thank y'all for listening. Sorry it's a long one. Tell all your friends to listen to PP Political and our website, pppolitical.com. We got good stuff coming out. Get good content from everybody that's contributing. Follow us for the election ramp up. And yeah, keep following us on Spotify and Apple Music and all that. So thank y'all for listening. I'm Eshan Pokro.
I'm Cameron Cummings.
I'm Michael Boddicker.
And goodbye.